first aspect of meditation is to become free from suffering, free from the negative emotions, and that all these negative emotions and also the suffering manifest as thoughts. It's really if you think about it, when you say you're suffering or when you're having a hard time, basically it means you have a lot of thoughts and you're kind of, how do you say, you're attached to your thoughts, and you have a lot of thoughts, and your thoughts, you can't control your thoughts. And so meditation is about being able to become free from these thoughts that causes so much suffering, and it brings a lot of suffering, and especially unwanted suffering. I mean, not unnecessary suffering. I mean, all suffering is unwanted. Sorry, um, but unnecessary suffering. So there's suffering that cannot be avoided. Like we call them the four streams of suffering, which is birth, old age, sickness, and death. But like, for example, sometimes you get sick, right? You can't avoid that sometimes. But there's the avoidable suffering, and that is usually the mental suffering that we create by ourselves through thoughts. And so that kind of suffering can be avoided by learning meditation. And the major suffering in our lives is the avoidable suffering, is that kind of the suffering that is avoidable. And what's really unbearable is the second type of suffering, is the suffering created by our thoughts. So it's like that. Meditation has two aspects. One is basically to become free from our thoughts, which is the same as saying becoming free from our suffering. And then second aspect is to become more familiar with our true nature. In Buddhism, we say our true nature is Buddha, and our true nature is peaceful and wise and compassionate, loving, kind, and also very free and joyful. We say that our true nature has three infinite qualities. One is infinite compassion, and then infinite wisdom, and also infinite ability or potential. So that is who we truly are. We have this infinite potential. In meditation, we try to connect with that goodness, with that basic goodness, with that infinite potential and infinite wisdom. Our true nature can also be called, in another sense, awareness. So, for example, we have awareness, but let's say this flower doesn't have any awareness, doesn't have any consciousness, right? So this awareness separates us from, like, inanimate objects. Any living being with awareness has this kind of infinite potential. And it's not just awareness, but it's also, there's some characteristics to this awareness. You can be aware of happiness, or also we can be aware of suffering or pain. For example, if you put if you squeeze here in between your thumb and your forefinger, and then you feel some kind of pain, right? Yeah. So we have the ability to feel happiness and suffering also, and also to, like, see. We have the ability to see, right? We can, like, see this room, right? And then we can also hear. And so it has six consciousnesses. So there's the eye consciousness, which is because of the eye consciousness, we're able to see. And then the hearing consciousness, that we're able to hear, and so forth. And the body sensations and so forth. There's the five, like five senses, and then we have the sixth sense, which is the mind. So we call it the six consciousnesses in Buddhism. So anyway, this consciousness, we don't normally aware of our consciousness. We're normally kind of lost in the object of the consciousness, which is the sights and the sounds and the feelings and the thoughts. And being lost in the six consciousnesses is, we call it samsara, or kind of suffering. Samsara means the cycle of suffering. And basically, sentient beings are lost. So we're trying to, what's the opposite of lost? Found. Yeah, found, right? So basically, like, Buddha is someone who has found who is found. And basically, we are lost. In other words, we don't know who we truly are, and Buddha knows who he truly is. And that is the whole point of Buddhism, is to find out who we truly are. And we don't know, right? Like, what was your name? Do you know, have you ever thought, like, who am I really? You know? Have you ever thought about that? Right, right. Sure, you're a woman, you're from Kenya, your name is Connie, but, and then you're, I don't know, you're 170 centimeters, whatever, I don't know. Things like that, right? You come up, these are kind of your characteristics of your body. Generally, you don't really know who you really are, but you kind of assume we have this general assumption of who we are, and that is like your name, Connie, right? And then also your body, yeah. You think your body is who you are, and then, but let's say, you know, like 100 years from now, probably none of us would be alive, so none of our bodies would be alive, right? Right? Is that right? Do you agree? Do you accept? So, but then do you think you will exist or not? What do you think? Like, like, do you think you will exist? Have you ever asked these kind of questions, Do you think you will exist? What do you think? In 100 years from now. The what you think you are won't exist. What you think you are won't exist. So maybe what you think you are is not who you are. You know what I'm saying? So what you think you are will definitely not exist in 100 years, right? Right. Connie will not exist in 100 years. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to disappoint you. So, uh, but do you think you will exist? I mean, do you think you'll still be around? Or do you think that's the end of Connie? That's the end of who you. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, of course, I have my belief because I'm Buddhist, but have you ever asked these kind of questions? Maybe not. It's okay. Most people, they don't ask these kind of questions. They're too busy, living their lives, and most people are too busy, lost in their six consciousnesses. Whether it's sights and sounds, and usually thoughts. We're lost in our thoughts, and we usually our worlds are in our heads. Our worlds are in heads. So we have some good thoughts, like you have some positive, so you're happy. So next, maybe think about when you're sad, you're lost in your thoughts, basically. And anyway, our world is basically in our heads. Meditation is kind of like getting out of our head, so to speak, and becoming alive, and becoming more conscious, becoming more aware. and connecting with our innate goodness. And our innate goodness in Buddhism, we say, cannot be destroyed. And nor was it made. It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. So that is the nature of consciousness, nature of who we are, is we were never born, we will never die. I mean, our true nature. Who you think you are will definitely has a beginning and has an end. Connie was born, Connie will die. But who you really are, in Buddhism we say, is cannot be destroyed because it was never born, and it is pure goodness, pure peace, infinite peace, pure wisdom, pure love. That's who you really are. But you don't know that. Nobody knows. Nobody knows that. Everybody thinks they're this body and their name and their kind of state of mind. If you're sad, you think, "Oh, I'm sad," things like that. So, but that's not who you really are. Most people, they don't know who they really are. This gentleman, he found out who he is, and so we put him on this. We put him up here, but we don't know who we are. So and in Buddhism, who you really are, we call it Buddha. And this Buddha is just a name, of course, but it's kind of like, when you find out who you are, then you're called Buddha, basically, because it means you're awake, you're alive, you are also you realize who you are, which is the infinite happiness and peace and joy and wisdom. So, and what prevents you from waking up to your true nature is being lost in the six consciousnesses, and especially your thoughts, being lost in your thoughts. Basically, the five consciousnesses or five senses kind of creates thoughts, and these thoughts, and then we get lost in our thoughts. Like you see, let's say you like K-pop. You like K-pop, or who do you like? Huh? Blackpink. Okay, Blackpink. So you see Blackpink. Let's say you saw Jenny, right, on the street, and then you're very excited, or anyway, then you start thinking about things and like how you want to maybe get, her, I don't know, listen to Blackpink or things like, anyway, like this. This is how we get lost. So the five sensory objects become the kind of catalyst for many thinking, and then this thinking is repeated, and then it becomes karma, becomes habit, and so that's how we become lost. And basically, this world, everyone's lost. Everyone's lost in their thoughts. So we're trying to not get lost. We're trying to become found and getting to know who we really are, and that is the Buddha. So, and the way to do that is meditation. We call it meditation. As I said, two aspects of meditation. Do you remember? The first aspect is to become free from our thoughts or suffering, and then second aspect is to become accustomed or become familiar with our true nature, which is unconditional happiness and unconditional joy and peace. What do you think? Do you think what I'm saying is believable? Do you think our true nature is like this? Yeah. So our minds, we the habit of our mind is good and bad, and hope and fear. Like for example, if you see something very attractive, then you want it, or you know, you desire for it, you hope for it. And then if you see something that is undesirable or something you consider to be ugly, or then we start to have revulsion, or we don't want it, or we want to escape it, or like this, this is the what's called the habit of the mind. Habit of the mind. And this habit of the mind in Buddhism we call the kleshas. Kleshas meaning like negative emotions. Okay, but the negative emotions are basically two: hope and fear. Hope and fear. So we hope for something. I don't mean hope like, you know, like Obama hope. Obama, his like motto was hope, right? Like that kind of hope is good, right? To have hope for humanity, hope for goodness. I'm not talking about that kind of hope, but hope is meaning like you hope for good things, and then you fear bad things. This is the basic habit of the mind. This is the way the mind operates. And the mind operates on hope and fear automatically. I mean, it's on like autopilot, so to speak. They call it default mode network. In other words, you don't consciously hope for things, you just kind of hope. It's habitually, or you unconsciously hope, and you unconsciously fear. In other words, like all things, actually, we have this kind of relationship of hope and fear. Like money, for example. Do you hope for money? In other words, you desire for money, and you fear like poverty or not having money or debt, like this, right? This is not something you like think, oh, I'm going to hope for money, but you just naturally, habitually, in other words, you habitually desire for money, and you habitually or unconsciously fear poverty and fear like debt or not having money. Isn't it? Everybody has. So we have this relationship of hope and fear with pretty much all aspects of our lives. Let's say relationships. You want to have a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and you want to have you desire for good relationship, and then you fear that you will be alone or you will have not a good relationship. So pretty much every aspect of our lives we engage with this hope and fear. Hope and fear. And this hope and fear is what makes us very confused and very restless and anxious and nervous. And the stronger your hope and fear is in your life, the more suffering you have. And the less hope and fear you have, the more peaceful your life is, the more joyful your life is. For example, little kids, they have much less hope and fear than we do, isn't it? Little kids, isn't it? When you were a little kid, you didn't have much hope or expectation, or you didn't want to be rich. Did you want to be rich when you were 2 years old? Did you want to be rich when you were 2 years old? Maybe. Maybe you started really early. I didn't want to be rich when I was 2 years old. I just wanted to play, right? Life was joyful. I didn't want to be rich. I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to be good looking. I didn't want to lose weight. I didn't need to lose weight. I didn't need to have better skin. I didn't fear like not having money. I didn't fear someone talking badly about me. I didn't fear, whatever, illness. I didn't fear all these things we fear now, right? Now we fear so many things. We're afraid of so many things. We're afraid of disease. We're afraid of cancer. We're afraid of getting sick. We're afraid not having money. We're afraid of bad reputation. We're afraid that people ignore us. We're afraid of old age. And we hope for so many things. We hope for money. We hope for boyfriend, we hope for girlfriend, we hope for good reputation, so many expectations and hopes, just these kind of things that makes us go crazy. And we're completely obsessed by hope and fear, hope and fear. So in Buddhism, we say these are the twin devils in Buddhism. In Buddhism, we don't really have like a outside devil. The devil is really inside, and that is the habit of the mind, which we call karma. And this habit of the mind is basically hope and fear, hope and fear. And we're trying to, as I said, the first aspect of meditation is to become free from suffering or free from thoughts. Or you can also say to become free from hope and fear. Because that's what thoughts are, is hope and fear. Everything from the time you wake up till you go to bed, all you have are hope and fear. And so when you have something that you hope for and you gain it, then you're happy temporarily. But that's not real happiness. That's kind of like it's a happiness that tricks you into thinking it's happiness, but leaves you wanting more. Kind of like that kind of happiness. It's kind of a trick. We call it temporary happiness. Temporary happiness is not true happiness. It's happiness that turns into suffering eventually and brings a lot of suffering. So that's not real happiness. That's not the happiness that we want. The real happiness that we want is the lasting happiness of our true nature. As long as you have all these hopes and fears, you cannot be happy. You cannot find the true happiness. Even when you become Buddhist, or even if you become a monk, then you still have hope and fear. But now you have hope for good meditation, and you fear bad meditation, and you hope for some kind of spiritual practice. This is also the obstacles for practitioners. Yeah, so this is kind of a summary of what meditation is. If we want to be happy, we have to recognize our hope and fear. And recognition is the key point of meditation. We say recognition and liberation is simultaneous. Or in other words, as soon as you recognize that you're having hope or fear, then you become free from that hope and fear. And so you start to experience small kind of moments of liberation. And then it becomes, when it accumulates, then you start to feel more of the innate kind of happiness or peace, which is who you truly are. And so you start to connect with who you truly are. And that is that's meditation. So, and the way to do that is through what we call awareness. The awareness, you start with the five senses. For example, let's say you are, the opposite of awareness is being lost. And that means that basically you're lost in your thoughts. So the awareness, you start with the five senses. Like you become aware of, let's say, like sights. For example, can you see right now? Right? What do you see? What do you see? You see the room, or you see me, you see maybe, yeah, you see the picture, the kind of the pictures and so forth, right? So now that is called awareness. That is called awareness or mindfulness. The opposite of mindfulness or awareness is we call the distraction, being distracted or being lost in your thoughts. When you're lost in your thoughts, how much are you lost in your thoughts, for example? How much are you lost in your thoughts? Like what percentage of time? 80%? Yeah. No, I think probably like 99%. Yeah, we're lost in our thoughts all the time. Yeah, we're completely lost in our thoughts. We're not aware. We're not aware. So we're trying to become more aware and less lost in our thoughts. If you're 80% lost in your thoughts, that's doin. Yeah, that's yeah. So I think it's very high level practitioner if you're lost in your thoughts, only 80%, because we're lost in our thoughts all the time. So in order to um, not be distracted, we start to become aware of the, like, our environment, for example. Can you be aware of your environment right now? Can you try? Are you aware of our environment? Are you aware? Sights, sounds, physical sensations, smells. There's no smells. I mean, smells are very subtle, so it's difficult to be aware of smells unless there is some kind of fragrance, or some smell that's good or bad, whatever. And then there's the taste. When you're eating food, for example, you can become aware of the taste. That's like being aware is same as saying being alive, you know. So you're alive to the sights, you're alive to the sounds and to the physical sensations, you're alive to the taste and the smells. So that's meditation. Yeah, when you're alive. So next time you enjoy your meal or you enjoy your walk, try to be alive. That's meditation. Try to be awake. Try to be awake to the sights, to the sounds, smells, sensations, and also to your thoughts and emotions. The way you become free from your thoughts is to be aware of your thoughts. So when you are aware of your thoughts, you are not lost in your thoughts, you are free from your thoughts. Let's say for some reason, you are in the Han River. If you are swept away in the Han River, you cannot see the Han River, right? Because you're lost in the river. Let's say you're being carried away, that's kind of like how we are in our minds. But then when you can see the Han River, you are outside of the Han River, right? You are not lost. The same with our mind. If you can see what's going on in your mind, you are not lost. You are free from your thoughts. But if you are lost in your thoughts, you cannot see them because you're lost in your thoughts. You're carried away in your thoughts. So you have to learn the difference between being carried away in your thoughts and being able to see your thoughts. So when you see your thoughts, or when you're aware of what's going on in your mind, you are free from you are free from your thoughts. You are free from your thoughts and emotions if you are aware of them. If you know you are sad, you are free from the sadness. You are free from the sadness. But if you are lost in your sadness, you're caught up in your sadness. There's a difference. So you have to learn to distinguish the difference and learn how to become free from your thoughts and emotions. You can, by observing them, by being aware of them. And that is the method to become free from your thoughts and emotions. So, but this is not easy. Why? Because of the habit. We have such a strong habit of being attached to our thoughts and emotions. And so even if we learn meditation, we have such a strong habit. And this habit, we call it karma. And so this karma is what needs to be overcome, and it takes practice. And that is what is meant by meditation. Yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice. Start to observe the thoughts and emotions rather than be carried away by your thoughts and emotions. And you start by becoming aware of the five senses first. That's easier. So, like for the breath, being aware of the breath is kind of the common Buddhist meditation, and that is the part of the physical sensation, breath or any kind of bodily sensation, and then the sights, and then the hearing or becoming aware of the sounds. That's very easy to become aware of sound, isn't it? You just listen, like you can hear, right? Yeah. So that's you're meditating. That's it. And same with if you're aware of sights, you're meditating. If you're aware of physical sensation like your breath, you're meditating. You're awake. You're alive. So try to be and basically being lost is another way to saying you're being asleep. So Buddha means one who is awake. The word Buddha means awake. So basically, people who are lost, and most people, they're kind of asleep. They're not alive. They're not awake. So we're trying to wake up. We're trying to be awake, be alive, and we're not. We're just kind of lost in our heads. And that is basically, that is the suffering. That is what Buddha discovered, and he called it dukkha. Dukkha means like chip on the shoulder, or kind of like dissatisfaction, kind of like also some kind of emptiness. This is what's meant by the dukkha or suffering. We call it suffering, or like grievance, or like just not happy, not happy. Not happy to be here, not happy to be who you are, not happy with your apartment, not happy with your car, not happy with your weight, not happy with your spouse, not happy with, you're just not happy. No one's happy. No one's happy with where they live, who they are. I mean, temporarily they could be happy if you move. Then you're happy with where you are, where you live. But then when you live there for some time, then you're not happy with where you live. Then you're not happy with who you're with, your spouse. In the beginning, you're very happy with, usually, when you date, for example, or when you get married, the first few years, they're very happy, right? When you're married. I don't know if you're married. Probably not. Some of you are married, maybe. But the first few years, you're very happy. But then after that, like your parents, they're not happy with each other usually. That's how kind of parents are. Anyway, that kind of thing. So and this kind of not being happy with everything is caused by the thoughts, caused by hope and fear. So meditation is a long process. So it takes a whole lifetime. It's kind of like a lifetime's work to be able to try to be awake, more alive. But I can tell you this, very, very, how do you say, beneficial to learn about the meditation. And it helps, when you learn meditation, it helps with every aspect of our lives, with with our relationships, with our studies, with our work, and especially with our relationships. So it's something definitely that we should look into more,